presence. Overwhelms me. I am a brutal presence. I will impose my will. I am a...
All right, it is Tuesday. I almost said Wednesday. I was doing the show on Wednesdays from noon to 2 for over a year. So it's Tuesday. It's 7 o'clock. It's time for the Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Don Smith. Sitting in the studio with me, my guests are already arrived. They both have the same name. So Mike Canestaro's are
squared.
Squared.
Mike Canestaro squared.
Yes.
Young type and older type.
Yeah.
Nope, old type and older type.
Yeah, I was going to say. Isn't it?
All these comics like young.
Young?
I'm the old man of the bunch. So yeah, bring your own dad.
Yeah,
show.
Bring your dad to work. Right?
Bring your dad to the
This
radio
ain't
show.
work.
I forgot mine.
Yeah.
This is it's work.
It's work.
It's work. It's been rough on me for
don't
3.5 years.
I don't doubt it.
I'm 23 years old, Mike. You would never have guessed that. But
Yeah.
I started this when I was
grain.
19 and a half.
Yeah.
And I have aged this much
You
since
do. You
then.
got that gray in your beard, kind of like Osama bin Laden had that graying happen in his beard. You know, it's just starting to come through. Like
Yeah, it's just the last few years before his end.
yeah,
It was, because I think a lot of it. I thought a lot of it was just dust from hiding in that spider hole. But
yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I don't know why I went Osama bin Laden so quick.
Why not?
It's only
Why not?
5 minutes into the show.
Yeah, we were nothing like
I won't
starting
make
out
any.
right.
I love that clock. I won't say another thing about it. I'm sorry. I love the clock. I talked about the clock too much last time, Dad.
Yes,
So.
he was. I think Dale was getting ready to break the clock. Actually,
I think he was ready to smack me with that mic. That's what Dale was ready to do. So always good to be here. I'm glad you were able to get Dad on here when he was in town. He's in town for a week. He comes a week or two every year, and drives his butt out here. And
because he's called into the show with some fun stories, and
he has. He's got a few more here on this card. And I'm not even going to say what else is happening because there must be suspense about these things in the plastic
absolutely.
bags.
The things in the plastic bags.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Everybody crinkle. Yeah.
You do it. Everybody crinkle their things on.
That's
I like
good.
it.
That's good radio.
That is the best. Someone's like, man, this station don't come in worth a hoot.
Yeah.
There's nothing but static on this thing.
I don't know what that crinkling is, but I sure want to find out what's in those bags. I better listen in.
Yeah. And I'm not even going to say what orifice they go on.
No, that you never want to start off with that. That's part of the secret because you discuss the orifice, it just might give it away.
Yeah. But it is one.
But it is definitely
An orifice.
yes, definitely one.
Yeah.
Just
Mick, one?
Possibly more depends.
Mike, you got a good clock story, but it's an analog clock story
Yeah.
instead of this studio clock story.
What's my analog clock story?
The one with the car rental place.
Oh, yeah. I could tell that one later.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I'll put that on the card.
Put it on the story card.
Don's going to be like,
I thought that
I don't know if,
really something. I thought that was really,
really
really cool.
I
Really
just
good.
came up with something witty to say once. And how come every time there's a heckler at a comedy show, I can't pick out the perfect thing to say that I wanted to?
That's frustrating.
I usually hit the general zip code, but I can't. After you're driving away, you're like, oh, I needed to say that one.
That hecklers, bosses, coworkers, you always find the perfect thing to say after you leave. There have
That's
been
true.
a few times in life where I've hit one right on, but it just very seldom.
Yep.
I think the next time I get stopped by a cop, I'm going to say, okay, I'll give you my statement, all right? But I want to come back the next day when I've thought all the things over that I had forgotten
And give you
and
another
then give you an additional bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you should have the opportunity for an addendum on your statement.
You'd be surprised how accommodating they are. And
I
stuff
got-
like that.
I'm
sure a
It
cop
depends
doesn't
on
have
what
anything else.
statement you're giving them.
These
I guess.
little kids called the cops on me once because I didn't like the way they scared the bejeebers out of me at an intersection. And I don't know how I didn't see them coming, but they called the cops. And I was thinking, I really needed another day to think about this thing thoroughly so I could explain to them what really they scared me. I never told the cops that they scared me, and that's what made me angry at them.
Well, I think what happened is Dad almost ran into some people at an intersection, a big car, a bunch of kids, and they pulled into a driveway, and Dad followed them in. And then they said, well, like, you're trespassing, and they were filming them. And so that was when Dad probably was a YouTube star and doesn't even realize it, besides the Sticky Hands video.
Well, I didn't really pull in. I was smart enough not to pull in their driveway. I just
I
pulled off on the show. No, well, they didn't like it anyhow, you know.
Yeah. No, they don't want to hear from
And
them.
they didn't like me poking my nose out at the intersection and not seeing them either.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, sometimes you just got to bump a kid with your car. That's the way I've always thought.
you know.
But they don't learn unless you bump them a little bit.
Pain is a teacher.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
The cops
It's a
were
very
good to me.
effective one at that.
Cops were good to me. They said, well, you know, kids don't have a lot of respect nowadays. So I think they realized that, you know, maybe they were a little.
now, what did they do? They called the cops on you for
they
trespassing?
wanted me to get out of. Yeah, because I walked up their driveway. You know, cops wanted to know if we had any fisticuffs. I said no.
No, you got here too quick.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Oh, well, that wasn't on the card. That was good. That was good.
We can ad lib.
Well, we're winging it, aren't we? Aren't we winging it?
We're winging it. Yeah.
We
No.
can
Actually,
wing it.
Don and I had a long focus meeting, last week about this whole show.
We
And
did?
I got it all. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's all on my it's all on my notes.
It's all
over
in there.
here.
It's
So
all in
that's
there. That was
why
typed
I
up by
bring
the.
6 pages of notes for every show I do,
Yeah.
and I think I've maybe used half of them at one time or another.
He picks out good ones.
Yeah,
He's got,
sometimes
he's got,
because I always bring some good news stories because we can't have everybody's stories the whole time. Sometimes we have to touch on some important news stories.
Yes.
But we'll save those for later because right now you're the interesting one.
Yeah. You're the novelty
Yes, yeah.
with that cat shirt on.
Yeah,
and,
we should talk about the cat shirt a little bit because that is
I posted a photo to Instagram and Facebook showing it, but it's got every 6 months now, because Dad's birthday's in June, I get him one of those kind of cat shirts from China that's got weird graphic designs on a synthetic T-shirt, and then
right.
double XL is actually quadruple XL, but it's got your shirt has a cat with its mouth open and a laser beam.
Yes,
out of it.
it's Catzilla.
Yeah,
is what
basically
it looks like,
atomic
yeah.
breath and then people running away down there.
Right.
And he wore it proudly through the whole Wright State campus, and he got a few head turns over at the ping pong match.
I bet.
I mean, a couple of ping pong guys, before this served, just kind of, whoa.
But it's jealousy. It's a check out that this is a cool shirt because
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
what would you rather be doing, wearing that shirt or playing ping pong?
right,
Well,
exactly.
The thing that got me, though, is the first shirt he gave me. I made a YouTube video on it, and someone commented, nice shirt. And my son said, Mike said, they like the cat? I says, what cat? All I saw was lightning bolts all over the place.
Yeah.
And I look at the video, I look at the shirt, and there's this big, huge cat there leering in the background. And the lightning was secondary, and I never noticed the cat, for crying out loud.
Yep. That was a good one. All these cost about $9 on eBay. So
Oh, so it's not an expensive shirt
Not-
either.
that is
It's
not
a
an expensive shirt.
$9 Catzilla shirt.
yeah, no, they're good. They take a month to get here, but
Oh, yeah.
because they're from
You
China.
try to get a picture like that.
Yeah, I think-
they don't have Photoshop. That's real.
No, that is
And
definitely tough. A lot of posing there. It
Yes.
has to go with those people running away from it.
Yep,
Absolutely.
yep.
Yeah, very tough.
And the
studio
city skyline because that is a giant cat. So
It is.
and those are rare too.
I think so.
So yeah, getting those pictures for that shirt, everything's
very
got to be
rare.
just right.
It's
yeah.
very rare to have a city that small, but
and,
in Asia,
and a
they
cat
got a
that
lot
big,
of.
yeah.
They got to fit
That's
a lot
true.
of people.
Well, they did that. Things are, from what I've heard, things are smaller over there. So I don't know.
Yes, so. I mean, they have to be.
I mean,
Fit all
I've
those
seen their
people.
cars. They're typically smaller.
True.
Not always.
Yes, I'm glad you went there. When
You're glad I went with a car.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I
Class
didn't
act.
want to. I didn't want to get letters.
you know what? You probably would.
Even-
Only you would get letters,
yeah.
not even
Yeah,
emails.
not even angry
You
emails.
just like
I
letters.
actually They hate me so much. They want it actually written down
Written
on
letters
It's
in
probably
blood.
just even on like papyrus. It's like on
Yeah.
some old school parchment that they roll up and seal with wax and then hand deliver
The seal
to
of
the
death.
yeah, with a little so they hand deliver it.
Let me
to the
let me tell you a little story. Oh, I could get people in trouble with this.
Is it on the card?
No, it's not on the card, but it's got to do with letters. There's a trick I came up with. I'm proud to say I invented this when I was back in college. What you do, just for fun, is you put
Anthrax.
you
Just for
you
fun.
come up with a weird address. Like I used to use Flapjack Jack or something like that in
Skagway.
Kodiak, Alaska.
Skagway, Alaska, yeah.
Skagway, Alaska. That's funny right off the bat. I send it there and put their return address in the return address area. So the letter would go all the way to Alaska. It'd have all these stamps on it with fingers pointing, return to sender, and blah, blah, blah. I thought that was a cute trick. You know, you want to send somebody a letter, make the post office work to send it around a little bit.
I don't think people had the patience for that nowadays. But yeah, if you just kind of hauled off and did it, and like, hey, a month from now, this person's going to get this. It's kind of like buying one of those cat shirts from China. I guess you just wait. Good things come to those who wait.
Yeah, I actually have a postal service story in my news stories.
Good.
That actually we can segue right into that.
Yeah,
You
that
do what you
sounds
gotta
like a
do.
good
Just-
idea.
Since, like I said, I mean, we got 2 hours to fill
It's
here.
it's a hot button for Mike Sr. I just got to say
Yeah,
the post
yeah.
office. But hey,
See, as federal crimes go, this one seems to be a bit ridiculously easy to pull off. Deshaun Henderson Spruce, which is quite a name in and of itself, submitted a U.S. Postal Service change of address form on October 26, 2017, according to court documents. He requested changing a corporation's email address from mailing address, from an address in Atlanta to the address of his apartment in Chicago's North Side. The post office duly updated the address, and Henderson Spruce allegedly began receiving the company's mail, including checks. It went on for months. Prosecutors say he deposited some $58,000 in checks improperly forwarded to his address. The corporation isn't named in the court documents, but the Chicago Tribune reports that its shipping company is UPS. So UPS, this guy changed UPS's mailing address and started received $58,000 worth of checks from him.
holy cannoli.
So, yeah, that's a little. That's not quite as bad as putting them all over the place before they come.
That's
back, but,
big time. I think that's big time felony. too.
I think, yeah,
Mail
that's
fraud.
a little.
I
Yeah,
think
oh
is
yeah,
big.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a big time. That guy's doing some big time.
Yes,
going
yes,
on.
he's yeah.
So, dang, yeah, that was a good segue.
That was, yeah, because every now and then things.
And we all
it's
love
like,
the
hey, I
post
got
office so much,
That is
know.
true. That is true. They're not. They're not quite as bad as they used to be. I don't think.
I think they got to compete
Got some
more.
nice new
yeah,
features. actually.
well, when you have competition,
Yeah.
you kind of have to change the way you do things. When you're the only game in town,
Yeah.
you can be the biggest jerk in the world,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people are going to have to come to you.
Yeah.
You ever use informed delivery? I like that they got now. You can look up what mail's coming to you each day.
It's
Oh,
good.
That
wow.
way it saves me a trip to the mailbox every now and then. I don't have any.
It's not a short trip. Your driveway's about
Yeah.
a quarter mile long.
Well, no, that's good if you don't trust your mail carrier because you can see what's supposed to be there and then
Yeah.
cross-reference.
And you can check. You can
Gives you
check
a
it if you
photograph.
don't get it too.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's a really good feature, but I still haven't signed up for it. And I'm supposed to.
you can
So.
see packages coming your way too from somebody else.
Weren't
Yeah.
you the one that was so frustrated with the post office? You're like, I want to give them a package that would just drive them nuts, like all
Oh, yeah.
spheres or
Yeah.
something. Just a circle. That just,
Yeah,
you couldn't go
wouldn't
into.
it be
They
neat
probably have a bin.
to send CDs in a sphere? It could be really
Yeah,
lightweight. A plastic sphere.
Well,
But
you
it'd
just
probably
send
drive
a
them
bunch
in.
of them. That
Probably
way
drive
they can't
them guys
stack 'em up.
nuts.
Yeah.
They'd roll all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking those posters would be an easy thing to handle. Because they're cylinders, they must roll. But I don't know how they probably stick them vertical or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not me.
It'd have whatever it is. It'd have to be a whole bunch of things that roll. Just one sphere wouldn't be enough.
Yeah,
You'd
give
have to
them a
have
bunch.
like
Oh,
15
you're sending
of them.
out these spheres to your family. All the CDs or DVDs of, family videos and stuff. You know, so you could have a bunch of them going out.
Well, the better part would be to have a bunch of them coming in. That way, you know, there's one central carrier that's going to have to deal with all of these spherical
That's a good
objects.
point. That's a good point.
And he knows where you
I could
live.
send
And he
them-
knows where
I
you
could
live.
send them-
Probably not the best idea.
Not a good idea.
I could send them to Alaska first and then back to me, right? That would
Skagway,
work.
There you go,
Alaska.
yeah,
And I
Skagway,
wouldn't even have
Alaska.
to have a fake return address.
Yeah.
Probably good. Yeah.
Send them to your neighbor. That way, if you don't like your neighbor, they're going to have to deal with all these things. And just have like a blank CD in each of them.
I bet you they would be so mad. I bet you I'd never get any mail anymore after that.
Probably wouldn't. Probably not. Do it
Just
with
don't
your
put a
neighbors.
return address. Mail them to somebody you don't like, and like do 20 of them all at once.
You know what I used to do too? Of course, postage was way less then, but I used to send letters with 50-cent stamps on them. You know, and
they
the whole
cover the
thing
whole
would be
thing.
covered with stamps.
Yeah.
Just thought it was unusual. Let's put it
Well,
that
yeah,
way.
now you'd have to do 2-cent stamps, and it'd still cover the
Yeah,
whole thing.
that's right.
Yeah, which still sounds fun to do. I should do that when I like mail bills out.
That would be I mean,
Yeah.
because it'll cover the whole.
Right.
Basically, you got 25 of those things. Yeah, that would be.
I wonder if
don't
you
know.
can actually get enough stamps on it to change the weight, so you need more postage.
You know what I used to do, and I kind of quit doing it, is get those junk mail. But now I just tuned out to it, and then it's always got the business reply envelope, and I would just not put my, return address on there, and then I would just stick a hunk of cheese. In it. A little slice of cheese, and then I just send it off.
The only thing that worries me about that is a lot of those when they come now they're barcoded.
Yeah, probably so they could find out it's you.
You're probably the reason that they started barcoding it. Is they randomly receive.
I haven't done
like,
it in a while.
And I don't
cheese.
think you can. I don't think you can send smelly stuff through the mail either.
What's the crime? You just
Yeah.
wanted to
It's
send them
against the
cheese.
rule. That's what the crime is.
It's
Against the law.
It's against the
Just
law.
postage
cheese,
paid cheese delivery.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be a piece of paper, does it? That I put in that envelope, they
Right.
paid for it.
Right.
Between,
Yeah, it's not anything hazardous.
yeah, I mean, I could put one of these in there.
Right. But what are they?
I don't know.
We might find that out after the break. We might
After
do
the
so. Yeah,
break.
we'll do a
Okay.
news story.
Okay. It's
And
your
then,
show.
well, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just one bringing the dad,
You're the bringer of dads.
the bringer of the dad.
Yes.
Just I
Just the
can't,
one, just the
just the
one.
one
Yeah,
for
okay.
today. I'm pacing myself. I mean, I could bring another dad at some
I
other
could have
point.
brought mine in, but I'd be on this dump button the whole time.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
he's
you'd be like, yeah, okay.
yeah.
You'd be just, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably not just because he's cussing, just probably half of what he says. Like, we
Yeah.
don't need that. Well,
Yeah, don't need that one. Cut that one right out.
do you have another story that we can share? Right?
What
Do you
do
want
we
to go
got
to the
here?
card and
I
see
guess,
what you
I
have?
guess what you probably what we should say about Dad, that one of the things that happened to him a couple of years ago is that well, first of all, Dad's on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Dutchtown RD is his handle. That's not what you call it. Is whatever. Me and
That's
Dad
my
are,
channel.
by the way,
That's my
Yeah,
channel, right?
channel ID. There
Dad
you
and I
go.
are doing an episode this week. We've got to film it of Science with Mics. Since
Science
we're both
with Mics,
both chemists.
yes.
He was a chemist for 30-some years. I'm sort of a chemist. I play one on social media.
Yeah, on social media.
I used
and
to play
at,
one. Yeah,
at a nearby college.
that's right.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a Science with Mics. But the cool thing is that Dad put this one video out. I'll let him talk about it. But the one thing I want to stick in there is that thing sat on YouTube for how many years?
2 years it sat
2
there
years.
with hardly any
Before
hits.
someone approached him about it. And it
Wow.
exploded.
Well,
with
no,
hits.
it exploded first, and then they approached me.
So someone posted it somewhere. and then they
Jukin video,
Jukin video.
Junkin video, Jukin. I don't know.
Jukin video.
Because
Jukin.
I think the first time I saw it was on like one of the Fail Army or the Fail
Yeah.
vlogs that
Yeah.
they do. And
Yeah.
It was amazing. So,
Yeah.
so what was the reason you made
Well,
that? And what was it?
I'll start out with the skunk first. I told my son.
See you going there.
I told my son John. I says, I got a skunk in the barn, and I got to get him out. I think he's sick. Great big skunk. And he said, well, don't waste the opportunity. He says, videotape it and put it on YouTube. So I did do that, and it got a few hits. But I came across...
You videotaped yourself catching the skunk?
Yeah,
or
you had a
I
hazmat.
dressed up
Okay.
goofy with a hazmat.
No, you had a hazmat suit on,
and
so in case you
a
got
fishing
sprayed.
Right,
net. I'm
okay.
trying to get the thing out. But that just led me to the next thing. I was trying to reconstitute, thin down some contact cement. So I do have the video stuck up with contact cement on YouTube. And I realized at that point, after John says, hey, don't let it go to waste, I says, okay, this stuff is really stringy, sticky, webby stuff. So I figured I'd tape myself pretending I'm going to try to thin it down, because there's no way I could thin that down. That was like one gigantic glob of gum, And so I made a video of that, and I'll tell you, that stuff stretched out about 2 feet, a web about foot and width. And I put it up on YouTube, sat there for 2 years, and finally it caught on, and then I was getting calls from
We're getting multiple requests from different people?
to license it with them, and I just got an email today say that Jukin is, you've earned some money. So
They must have
Wow.
sold it to somebody else.
I earned.
Yeah, Jukin Video contacted me on my Facebook page for Hazmat Guy. I don't know why they didn't contact me. It was just a page I had for that.
Used hazmat guy
I haven't
in a
done
while.
Hazmat
Yeah.
Guy in 3-4 years. And why? How did they connect the dots between I'm Hazmat Guy on Facebook, and then I'm his son? I don't know what kind of strange connect the dots research they did, but I got a message there, and I'm like, Hazmat Guy got a direct message, and they're like, we want to purchase the rights to your dad's Sticky Hands video. Can you have him contact us? And I'm
So
like, what?
why did they contact hazmat guy?
I have no clue.
Weird, huh?
Huh.
Yeah,
Weird.
that was weird. Yeah,
But-
I don't know how they do that.
But I've earned $1,000 from them so far on that.
Yeah, and they probably
Can't
earned
beat
way
that
more.
for-
They probably earned way more than
Oh
that.
well, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works.
But hey, I had no idea after 2 years with nobody really interested in it, catches on fire. So there's always hope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
you
you go.
keep-
There
keep-
you go. yeah.
That's just a testament that you keep putting crap out there, and eventually, not crap. I mean, that was kind of crap, but it
Well,
was.
that's kind of like my show. I keep putting the crap
Yeah,
out there.
just
and
keep putting it
eventually,
out there. But and someone likes it.
Yeah, it's been 3.5 years. Ain't made a dime.
Yeah, well, they keep putting this crap out there.
Yeah, we'll keep putting this crap.
Keep putting this crap out there, and you never know.
Well, that's pretty cool though. That it came back a few years later, and you're earning a little money off of it
Yeah,
because you can't
yeah.
beat that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's kind of exciting, actually.
Yeah.
yeah, it kind of pissed me off.
I bet.
I don't know.
I mean,
how,
I have like 8 times more YouTube videos than he does, and then he hits it big.
I don't know how to do it again, though. I mean,
Right,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
that was really some weird acting stuff. That,
Yeah,
that contact cement.
yeah.
So,
Well, you never know.
and it didn't mind, being chemists. It didn't bother me a bit to dive
Right,
into that
right.
stuff with my hands and everything. So
Yeah.
anyhow,
It was good, and I look on the video, lots of positive comments, a lot of thumbs downs, but you get that. You get
Well,
that.
yeah, you always
Lot of
get
thumbs.
something
This is
done,
fake.
but
Yeah, it's fake.
Okay, so what?
Where these people go to wrestling and be like, this is fake.
Yeah.
No, wrestling's fake. No.
Uh,
Yeah, you can't. There's people that just thumbs down everything.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's terrible.
I've met some of them.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Yeah.
I always love when they come to comedy shows.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
the
they got a
thumbs
better way to
down
do
is-
all your jokes.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Hey, here's how you should run your club.
yeah. Oh,
Get that one?
yeah,
Yeah.
A time or two.
I was at Morty's. I was at Morty's once in Indianapolis, and I was sitting at the bar, and I was doing a guest spot for J. Chris Newberg. I don't know. I asked for a guest spot, and Bowers gave it to me Saturday night. So anyhow, I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to jot down some jokes, and I hear this bartender. He's like, "Here's what I'm going to give to Bowers." This a whole thing he wrote out called "Here is how you should run your business," and he's the bartender. And the one guy's like, "You really shouldn't give that to him." You know, and I'm like, yeah,
Probably not
because
a
he's
good idea.
paying you.
Yeah.
You
Probably not.
should not find fault with people who are paying you.
Yes. That's
Yeah, everybody's got something better
Oh yeah, absolutely.
without
And,
having done
yeah,
them,
without having done
done
it.
it themselves.
And yeah, I had that conversation with a couple people before because they were talking about we need to advertise. Like, yeah, we need a budget to do that.
Yeah.
Well, how much can it cost? I'll tell you exactly how much, because guess who researched it before I realized how much it was?
Yeah.
I've looked into it. Not happening.
Anyway. How about you get a tattoo?
Yeah, there you go.
Wiley's Comedy Club
Yeah.
on your arm and see how much
Forehead.
that generates.
We'll
Forehead
go
would be
forehead.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
work
I'll pay him $5.
Most said it worked for Charles Manson. That wasn't
Yeah.
a very nice thing to say. I still said it though.
Why not?
Yeah, because
There's a reason they call them lazy Sundays. There's nothing better than sitting around and enjoying the comforts of a good book. But what book should that be? Well, every Sunday, Eventide brings you The Bookseller, hosted by Jessica Gillen. Each week, Jessica breaks down a different book and tells you everything you need to know before cracking it open and getting lost in a whole new world. Tune in every Sunday for The Bookseller with Jessica Gillen, brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
I will do a demonstration. All right, we're back
Oh,
on the live
man.
radio show. I'm your host, Don Smith, sitting in the studio with Mike Canestaro and Mike Canestaro. It's been a pleasure so far, but there is so much more that we have to get through, because I think it's time for news stories, and I think this first news story is good for the special gift that I'm giving to my guests for this week and the next few weeks.
yeah.
I've been on a diet recently, and I realized that with my diet I need proper exercise. And there is always a neglected area that people forget to exercise. When you see these buff guys at the gym, but they're not doing certain exercises. So I actually bought each of you your own personal exercise equipment.
Nice.
And we're going to talk about some news stories while we're doing these exercises, because I feel this in the interest of time. We can't just be on here doing exercises on the radio. So we're going to talk about news stories while we're doing them. Now, what I have in the bag is your own personal exercise equipment. This is a mouth exerciser.
Okay.
And if I can get it out of the bag, let's all crinkle together. And this is to help when you have like saggy jowls and cheeks that you need. Man, these things are really
This thing is big, man.
really in there. Yes,
a bag
they
in
are
a
very
bag.
big. They are very big. And I don't even know for sure how to insert.
Oh, I
these,
think I
but
can
they-
see which way's up.
Right, yeah, because you know exactly what it looks like.
I know how to use these. I use these all the time.
Mine,
There you go.
Not really.
All right, well, let's
Thanks.
see if we can all
this
get
is
them in.
top,
And
and this is
I think I
which
might have
way's
had it
top?
upside down.
top is with the slit. Yeah, you're holding it right.
Top
So.
is the splits on top.
Say, this is
Oh, look.
this is fantastic,
Yeah.
because it's really
I
hard.
don't
to
think I'm
fish
doing it
down.
right. This goes behind my teeth.
Yeah, not behind your teeth, just behind the. I don't
Or
think
what?
behind the teeth.
Oh, that's the hollow. Holy jeez! All right,
That is perfect, Mike.
I'm gonna Facebook Live.
Shit.
I'm gonna go on Facebook Live right now.
Yes, let's go. Since this is our face right now, let's go on to Facebook Live.
How do we Facebook?
I have no idea how to do that, but this is really, this is a good exercise.
Is this look okay?
Good, good.
Oh, I can talk way harder. Was it
This
not-
is actually how you learn how to do a ventriloquist.
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
sure.
this is just strange to me so
This
far.
is
Are we live?
we're on Facebook Live
That's awesome.
right now,
That is,
and nobody is watching. And I don't,
you gotta try to exercise the lips. Like, I should have brought in some Kleenex because we're gonna start slaughtering.
Yeah, I think
You know,
John just flirt.
What's that?
John flirts a little bit.
Yeah,
Flirt.
I slurp. Every now and then you have to slurp.
Yeah.
Slurp.
God, it's digging into my gums.
That's all part of the
I
experience.
feel like I'm getting like X-rays. That right there.
It's
is
all
unreal.
part of the experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dad, make sure when you pull that out, you don't pull anything else out. Yeah. There you go.
So, let's try the first news story and see what. I kind of feel like Fire Marshal Bill.
Fire Marshal Hill.
Fire Marshal Bill. All right. Hornstar, Stormy Daniels.
Hornstar? Hornstar?
Hornstar. It's kind of, that's hard to talk like
I
this.
think I figured that.
Hornstar. Stormy Daniels is checking on President Donald Trump.
Huh?
I can't. Donald Trump.
I think I'm going to cut off her video.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Yeah, hold on.
But I feel rough.
Oh.
This is rough. Man.
This is not
rough.
This is
It's
not comfortable.
Yeah.
How long do we got to do this?
You guys, you're not exercising.
I'm losing viewers. Hell with it.
You're not exercising at all.
I think this is a bad idea.
If it's on this show,
If
it's
this
done.
is okay on TV, on radio.
I'm going to keep it in show, and then that's about it.
Yeah, this is the. Yeah, that's not a great idea for radio. It's still.
What does this help? This doesn't do anything except dig into my guns.
You're what?
My guns.
He's gone.
Don't dig into your gung.
This digging, I already got receding guns until this crap.
Are you even trying? Yeah, it's hard to do. Okay.
Hard.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really good. I don't
Let me try to get a drink of water.
Good luck.
yeah,
Look, you're going to get water hoarded.
Yeah, most likely. Oh, phew. I think doing the news story with this is probably not gonna, probably not.
I'm sorry, I tapped out, guys. It was hurting.
Lights out.
My
Okay.
mouth ain't big enough. See, I did it. I ruined it now. I'm the one
That's
who tapped
okay.
out.
That's okay.
I'm putting it back in the plastic.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. We might try it again next week.
Yeah, give this to one of the comics.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I'm giving it to the comics. They'll have
Give him mine.
they'll have other ideas with it, I think.
I
Just
think
from
that
the
one
thing.
they'll probably get excited about it. Well, nope, not what you
Yours
think.
fit way better than mine. I know. It was
I
nice
got
and
big mouth, I
flush and
think.
everything.
It depends on how big your jaw is. I don't have a big jaw.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right here, I don't got a lot of area.
Seemed
there.
like my lips were sticking way out there. My artificial lips
The
were
artificial
way
lip.
out there.
Yeah. That was something. I feel sorry
that
for you,
was-
Don. You got to do that again.
That was an
How
experience.
many times you doing that again?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Until I run out.
Where'd you get
I
those?
bought those in gross. Till I run out at 45 of those.
Where, the place across from Wiley's? The place next to Tumbleweed there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever factory made them close down, I
Yeah.
dug them all out of their
I know, I
dumpsters.
kind of.
So we got plenty.
I'm still tasting the, child labor on those things.
That is the wrong thing for child labor to make. That's,
Probably.
yeah,
They might be
that-
made by
yeah.
a very reputable company. I don't
Yeah,
know,
most likely. I didn't.
but I don't know about that.
They didn't put their name on it anywhere. So. At least I don't think so. I was too busy. I was
easy.
too busy stuffing it into my mouth.
All you got to do is make a little stamp on there saying what your name is. That means they're knockoffs, maybe.
They might be not.
You mean
I do gotta
somebody
say-
makes them for real and then somebody makes a copy?
Somebody made a copy of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
somebody.
I don't know.
That's the
Somebody
copy.
had to have a copy of this right here because it's yeah.
I'm still.
Okay, had to try
Fatigued.
something different, but
Oh, that was very
maybe it was
different.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
very
fatigued
different.
still.
different.
So,
Sure
yeah.
different.
Yep, you tapped out on a lip.
I did. I was ready to tap out
on the whole show.
I was ready to tap out like after 3 minutes, and I wasn't telling no story. I was just laughing.
Yeah. I was trying to go through news stories. So we don't even need the porn star was what I was trying to say.
Yes.
Not
You can't
horn
say
or
that.
not horn or
Porn
porn.
star. I know.
Yeah,
You
the
can't say
horn
peas.
star. Yeah,
Peas are not happening with that.
you can't pee with that thing in your mouth.
You can't. No peeing.
Yeah, no peeing.
Yeah.
Because president,
Yeah.
that's So anyway, that was a story about Stormy Daniels, and nobody cares. So we'll cross that out.
Yeah.
And we'll move on. We'll move on to another one, and that's what are all these weird. Who was the idiot that picked these stories out? 'Cause this
I
couldn't
don't.
have
I'm
been
not
me,
saying anything. Don't lash out at the showrunner.
Okay.
Don't ever. Remember, I'd never done this, so I can't make criticisms.
Okay. Authorities in Connecticut recently arrested a man who allegedly used an alligator in a bizarre attempt to extort money from the family of a man he's accused of kidnapping. The victim said on April 6th in a phone call to an aunt living in Bridgeport, quote, "They got this alligator on me, and they say that if no money is given, they're going to have him chewing on me." The victim, identified only as a 21-year-old man, reportedly told his aunt he'd been kidnapped and that the man who'd abducted him was demanding an $800 ransom in exchange for his release. It would cost more than that to get the alligator. The guy's not even going to get his expenses back.
Where did he come up with that number?
It's
not a round number.
That's all he needed to get his drums back from the pawn shop.
Yeah, I think that's about what it is. Yeah, it's about what it is.
When the woman demanded proof that her nephew was unharmed, the kidnapper allegedly texted her a photo of her nephew hog-tied in a tub with a 3-foot American alligator on his back, baring its teeth. Like the alligator knew what was going on. You got to pose for this picture. All right, is this good?
Yeah.
Police traced the phone that had been used to communicate with the aunt and were ultimately able to find the suspect and the victim at a hotel in Shelton.
3 foot isn't big.
3 foot is not, but
for an
they still
alligator.
got a good bite. And if
I'm
you're
sure they do.
hog-tied in a tub with one, it's still a precarious situation.
You're hog-tied.
And personally, I'd write a check for $800.
I would whisper. I would whisper too. I would try to be the
You'd
gator
be
whisperer.
the gator whisperer.
Something.
It's okay.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Well, all you got to do is cover their eyes and they relax. I think that I've heard that somewhere,
Don't you
which
push
I've never
on
really
there, John,
been.
too?
well,
and
you
they have
can
good
try that
closing
one
power?
out, okay?
Don't they have really strong closing power but no
Yes.
opening power?
Yeah,
Or is
I
that-
believe
is that
so. Yeah,
crocodile?
no, I think it's the same way, but I'm
I
not going
think
to
we're
test
the
it.
same way, aren't we?
Yeah.
Feels like that's
Yeah.
how it was with those things in there. I don't feel like I had any closing power.
No,
or I had
that's true.
the opposite. I think it was just all the opposite of a gator thing.
Yeah, we
Felt
were
like
we
an
were
alligator.
anti-gators for a second.
Yes, definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well that gives
But
you.
yeah,
I give
hey-
that a 4 stars of weirdness.
What's the thought process to? I mean, I can understand if you're kidnapping someone to extort a bunch of money, but $800. That really doesn't. I think that's what drew me to the story. It's like you never hear of an $800 ransom. And what's more fun is the woman wasn't going to pay.
Yeah, I know.
Really? I need to see a picture of him.
Well, I think I have the answers to that one. You see, if the amount is low, it's not a felony. But
I think it
kidnapping is, you know? I think it's
Right,
got to be
right.
like $3,400 to be a felony. So if you keep
Really?
it below, well, I've heard that, and it's probably gone up with inflation. Who knows?
Yeah, that's
Felony
right.
inflation.
But he probably
You know,
forgot
felony
that-
inflation is
he
pretty
probably
brisk this year.
Probably forgot that kidnapping is a felony, no
Right.
matter
Yeah,
how,
yeah.
No matter
how
what
big
it
the
is.
person is or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. That was rich. I tell you.
Yeah,
where was that? What
Probably
town
not
was
very
that?
rich. That was in Connecticut. They were found in a hotel in Shelton, Connecticut.
Okay, so that's
the
weird.
the
'cause
aunt lived in Bridgeport.
I don't think, in Connecticut, gators are indigenous to the area. So
I
that
don't
was
think.
somebody's pet.
Yeah, so
It wasn't like they just caught it. That took a lot of planning for something so stupid.
Right, for
Yeah.
$800.
For
Like I said,
$800.
because just to house an alligator and to feed one till the size he's 3 foot, because I'm sure you can't purchase a 3-foot gator, and if you did, just purchasing it alone would be over $800.
I think you're right.
And you'd have to have more than a bathtub to keep him in. He's 3 foot long.
Yeah.
Oh, but we got him running loose in the Susquehanna back home. So
You do?
Really?
Well, yeah,
But
yeah.
that's 'cause
Well, I
somebody-
don't know how they made it through the winter, but last year
Huh.
we had several sightings of alligators in our river.
And that's in Pennsylvania and upstate New York?
Is it good sized alligators, or is that?
Yeah, I don't know,
Somebody-
6 foot
somebody
or something like
had
that.
one as a patent release.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
what they did. It was sighted in several locations along the river, and so all they'd have to do was snatch that thing up and jam it on somebody's head and ask for $800.
Take a picture and get his $800 and go.
Yeah, it's free. Don't
Such-
throw
such
the
a
alligator
simple plan.
back. Throw it back. No feeding. No nothing.
And that's what's bad is the whole thing was going perfectly until the ant balked. He overestimated the love that
Yeah.
aunt had for her nephew.
Yeah.
That was his one fatal mistake
Yeah.
in the whole kidnapping heist.
And I'll tell you what, that nephew's going to have some grudges against that
Oh,
aunt.
absolutely. $800?
That's all you took?
No,
It is Connecticut.
to change the subject a little bit, but it reminds me of a dirty trick the cops played on cops. I thought they put a bicycle out that, in a spot where
No,
it
the
could
bait
be
bike.
stolen.
Yeah, the bait bike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
they
what
do
they
that, yeah.
did, it was a BMW. It was a several $1,000 bike. For all of a sudden, instead of
Instead
a
of-
misdemeanor,
yeah,
it's a
instead of
felony.
stealing the usual
I mean,
Beans
and,
and Hondas,
a
yeah.
guy that's going to steal a bike, is he going to know that it's a BMW and how much it's worth?
That was a
That's
motorcycle,
not.
right?
That's
Right,
not
right,
nice.
right.
That's dirty pool the cops played there, I think.
Yeah.
That all reminds me of the woodchuck story.
What would you
He's doing news stories. We'll have to get to the woodchuck story later.
No, we can go ahead because I got to take a break here shortly. It's almost the top of the hour, so we got about 3 minutes.
I guess I'll set him up. I guess what happened is Dad had my brother's car had a stench, my brother Chris. And I think it was a mystery. Sometimes mice build a nest in your air conditioning. Something
It can
like that.
happen, yeah, if it sits for a length
But
of time.
I think what happened is I just remember kind of looking out the picture window of the house, and the next thing I see, he's got the hood popped, so my vision is obstructed by his back, and then all I see is he's wrenching around with something, and he's got a woodchuck by the tail. Dead woodchuck was in my brother's car.
Dead
Rotting woodchuck.
Rotting woodchuck.
Right.
We
And I
looked at it.
had to do a head job on it. I had to do a
Wait,
change
you
of
should
head
be more
gas.
specific. Head gas. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
I had to
Yep.
change a head gasket, and I had to put up with that lingering stench all through the whole job.
And there's two things that really amazed me is that one,
The title of this episode is going to be Woodchuck.
yeah, I know, you got it right there. The thing is that the belt had been wearing on the woodchuck. So what
Right.
happened is not only did he die of heat, but he must have crawled up in there, saw that the car started moving, and then just said, I can't jump out of this thing. And then he just died of heat, but the belt was rubbing him right down the middle, almost kind of cut into him. It was
Oh, wow.
disgusting.
What a way to go.
The second thing that surprised me is wouldn't my brother notice that the woodchuck indicator light was on?
That's true.
just
That's true, yeah.
His big thing
Well, yeah, check woodchuck. That
yeah,
would-
check woodchuck.
And how
Bing,
much
bing.
would a woodchuck check?
That's true. And there was
Woodchuck
a little-
could check a woodchuck.
He chucked it in the garbage,
Yeah.
in the wood, where you chuck the woodchuck.
Had
So
a
that was-
number of animal problems.
So
up
it was
my
in
way.
the engine compartment.
Yeah, there was a
And
little
it was-
platform there. Apparently, they, towards the wheel, and he crawled up on there. A nice
Yeah.
place to lay and be heated up by
Yeah.
the engine while it was cooling down, I suppose. And
Well, cats have, a lot of cats have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
Yeah. Well, this one didn't make it.
yeah,
woodchuck,
this
he didn't
this
make
woodchuck
and
was
he
not.
stunk.
Yeah.
He stunk. Whole place stunk. I remember that because smell is the closest sense linked to memory, and I just remember that dead
Yeah.
woodchuck smell was permeating for days. So-
Yeah, it's hard to chuck a dead woodchuck smell.
and it was an Dodge Aries K car, if I recall.
A
Yeah.
K car at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I think not only the woodchuck
Was-
died, it had terrible taste.
with
Of all things.
with built-in woodchuck stand. That's was one of their features.
One of the things. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't even know. So you'd think when it has the built-in stand for it, that would have been included. Check that.
Yeah.
Nice feature though. Built-in woodchuck stand.
Yeah, how's your woodchuck running? Have you checked it? Have you changed your fluids? Checked your woodchuck? Is it
your woodchuck?
Well, they don't have full service service stations anymore, so that's the problem. Because they would always check your woodchuck.
Sure they would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so you wouldn't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, and they tell you the level of the woodchuckness.
Right.
With the gas station.
Yeah.
Chuck.
Replace as needed.
Yeah.
That clearly needed a woodchuck job.
Sure did. It did. It needed a woodchuck
alignment.
Alignment.
Yes.
Yeah. You need another one on the other side just to balance it.
Yeah. That's what
It's always pulling to the left.
Your woodchuck's pulling.
Why is my car pulling to the left?
Woodchuck balancing.
That's one of my vivid childhood memories is him pulling that thing, the arm just coming out of the hood, and then I'm like, well, what was in there? And it's a woodchuck. It's crazy.
It was a
by the tail.
Big one, too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the best way to change your woodchucks. You always want to change it by the tail.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah.
Well, otherwise you could strip it.
Yeah.
You don't want to strip your woodchuck.
Don't strip your woodchuck. That is a definitely $500 job, $800 job.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Yep.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to have to take a little break because the FCC is telling me I have to. That's how they are. You don't even see them in here.
They're not even suggestions, are they?
They're very suggestive.
Let's call the FCC on them then. Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a little break, play a whole bunch of advertisements in a row, and we will wade through them and see you on the other side.
Nothing brings people together quite like the movies, and every week Aaron Lopez wants you to join him in a discussion about the latest and greatest in the world of film. So grab a drink, grab some popcorn, and get comfy. Come join Aaron and friends every Thursday at The Drive-In, presented by Eventide Entertainment.
All right, that was a little Mr. Wiggly's exploration launch.
Worst ending to a song ever.
That was well. At least you knew it ended.
I did. It was kind of.
It was clear. I've had some that kind of trail off, and that one is a clear ending.
Boom.
Yeah, just boom. We're done.
We're done. Yep.
Welcome back to the Life Radio Show. I'm your host Don Smith, sitting in with Mike Canestaro and Mike Canestaro. Mike Canestaro, part of the Mr. Wiggly's.
Yep.
The fantastic.
The real hidden talent of Mr. Wiggly. I didn't sing or play guitar well, but that bass line. Just all 6 notes or 5 notes of it.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
That's
I know
the
there's
perfect
3
amount.
main ones. Boom, 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 boom.
And you nailed them here. So that's fantastic.
And I added 2 more with boop, 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 boom. Don't forget boom.
Well, you got to have the change up in there.
You do. You gotta
absolutely. Or it'll just sound flat.
Yes.
So,
Space Band. I don't know what that was about. It was about we're going to make a space band and drive around in a disco van or something like that.
Sounds like a plan.
It's like it was that kind of thing. I put some of the lyrics on our Reverb Nation site for Mr. Wiggly's, and then sometimes I couldn't even tell. My brother's singing through a voice synthesizer. I just had to put like unintelligible. Because I can't tell what he's even saying in a couple lines,
Oh, so you actually put...
I put the lyrics up there.
You put the lyrics
I had to listen to them.
So you didn't even know.
Yeah. Want to drive a space band, and then maybe we'll play the disco duck or something around, we'll drive around in a disco truck. I forget.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah, it could rhyme other ways,
I had no input to the lyrics. Those are all my brother's lyrics.
Now, did he have them written out ahead of time? Is that what?
Yeah, he didn't share them with me. He just said, "Here, go play this riff, play this bass line." Okay, that's good enough.
Boom, boom,
and then
boom,
he would
boom.
just play guitar, and over it, and then sing all this stuff written on a page that I had no input to. I did say that we should do a song called Neil deGrasse Tyson Chicken.
That's a favorite of mine.
It's about Neil deGrasse Tyson, but then we just had to throw chicken in it because after Tyson.
Right, because Tyson chicken. Yeah.
So there's a chicken.
It's kind of like a Wheel of Fortune category, the before and after. Yeah, it's kind of like their categories. So someday, Neil deGrasse Tyson chicken could show up.
It could be.
And you can sue them for copyright.
Yeah, that would be something.
You could sue Wheel of Fortune
Yeah.
You just have to make
Deep
sure you
pockets.
go back through all the episodes and see if you can find one where they use Neil deGrasse Tyson Chicken and say, hey, that is my song. You cannot rip off Mr. Wiggly's exploration launch that way.
Yeah, I
Pat
don't think-
Sajak.
Mr. Wiggly's exploration launch does not have a very deep team of lawyers. I got to say that. You know, so
Well,
if anybody wanted to kind of borrow,
They
off
are.
of it,
I mean, we could do some crowd funding to
Yeah.
get attorneys to go up against the
you might.
Wheel of Fortune fat cats,
Nice.
because I mean, Mr. Wiggly is Dayton's number one space funk band.
They are actually ranked number one. There's no category for space funk. There's just funk, and I think we're fifth in funk, but there is no space funk. So
Right. So
definitely.
you are trailblazers in that genre.
I would say even maybe in Ohio, and Dayton is the funk capital of the world.
Then it should be.
They have not contacted me in any way, but it's like the Sticky Hands video. You
Right,
keep
right.
a couple years. I'm just
Yeah.
sitting back waiting.
Yeah, you'll get a call someday
Yeah.
from the Funk Hall of Fame, and they will want your funkin' music in there.
Yeah, we'll put it in there.
Funky music. Sorry.
Funky music.
Okay.
Space funky.
Space
Space
funky.
funky. Every
Yeah.
song has a space theme to it.
Right.
All five.
Well,
We could
yeah.
put out an EP.
Is there a fifth one? Because I have Go to Mars with me, Neil deGrasse Tyson Chicken, Pluto's a Dwarf Planet, and Space Band.
You're missing our best song.
Really?
It's called Space Gas is Way Too High. It's actually, I need to
I don't
download
think you
it.
sent that to me.
I didn't, and I probably need to, but it's actually the best song we did. It's right top if you go look at on Reverb Nation and you just type in Mr. Wiggly. It'll come up as like one of the top 3 Mr. Wigglies.
So Space Gas is Way Too High.
Yeah, feel free. It's on free download. You can download it, and I won't send a team of lawyers after you, Don. If you
Okay,
want to play
well
it here.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
good because
So,
I don't have
It's
any.
actually our best. I'm actually proud of my bass playing in that song.
Wow.
I invented that bass line. Yeah, my brother sings and writes lyrics, but I want it to be about
It's
me.
all about the bass. It
Yeah.
really is.
It's funk. It's supposed to be the bass,
Right.
and then every song has a weird solo, but that song actually doesn't have a real weird solo. So like Neil deGrasse Tyson Chicken has a chicken.
Of
Go
course.
to Mars with Me has a shaker kind of solo, and my brother drops it in the middle of the song.
Then
It's
you
kinda
couldn't do a second take.
No, you hear it hit the floor and he picks it up, and then
Oh,
he's like,
okay.
"I dropped the shaker." like he just improv it. I dropped the shaker.
Okay. Well, yeah. It's,
Now I tried to pick it up and I kicked it. It's really bizarre, but we just went with it, and it kind of we hung
yeah.
it together.
Why not? Why not?
I mean, what's going? What else? I mean, just trying to be space funkers.
Yes. Yes. So, this is a more musical show than I had thought of.
We didn't
because,
even
we
get
were-
to my dad's story about
about
a
a certain rocker.
who we went
yeah.
to high school with.
Oh, yeah. Ronnie James Dio.
Ronnie James
Ronnie
Dio.
James Dio. went to-
He started out in Cortland, New York. That's where I was born. And I think his first band was Ronnie and the Redcaps. And
Which
they,
I'm going to have to look that one up.
and they cut a record back then, which I have, 45. And I think it was probably his first record. And I probably can't even remember the the more popular side, but what I do remember was "Ooh Papa Do" was one side, and it,
I don't see him.
Yeah,
we-
I can't see Dio doing "Ooh Papa Do."
You do. Hey, he was a front man.
Well,
You had to
that's,
do whatever you had to
that's
do.
my
That's true.
memory, and I'm getting pretty old, so I could be way off base. When I get home, I'll have to look at my stacks of wax and see what the real names of the songs are.
Ronnie and the Redcaps, and then
Ronnie and the Redcaps.
and then I wonder how he transitioned into sort of 80s metal
Right.
from there,
right.
because that's
Well,
a long
70s
time.
metal, 'cause
I don't,
it's-
70s,
I don't
yeah.
remember too much really about him, but I do know that we were on the same wrestling team in high school.
Wasn't
and,
it track too?
And
Like
we
he was an athlete?
I don't remember that, but I do remember must have taken biology together because we were kidding around in the locker room about fishes' air bladders, how they floated around depending on how much air they put in their bladder. And we made a big joke, inside joke about that. But that's about all I remember about him, actually.
Yeah. He's been gone for a while.
It's been,
It's
been, like 70, well, not 70, but 60-some years anyhow.
Yeah.
So...
I found 6 songs under Ronnie and the Redcaps with James Ronnie Dio.
Yeah.
James Ronnie Dio.
Yeah. The songs are Conquest, What I'd Say, Lover, An Angel Is Missing.
I bet
there are 2 that are What I'd Say, and then there's What Did I Say?
Yeah, I bet you, it might have been
and then the Ooh Poopa Doo.
Ooh Poopa Doo. Dang.
I'm going to have to find those and at some point play them on the.
Wonder how much that 45 is worth of yours.
It's
Probably not.
If that's an original, if that's an original, I bet there is a Ronnie James Dio collector out there that would probably be. Yeah,
it's an original. Well, I was still in high school. I graduated in '59, so it had to be before then.
Now, was he your same graduating year? Or?
I don't remember that, but if we took biology together,
have to be real close. Yeah,
I kind of
think
that might be. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up in our yearbook. Let's see.
If he wasn't, and he was in accelerated classes, and you weren't, and you're
No,
the chemist.
I was in the decelerated class.
That's something.
So that got Ronnie James Dio. Dio was the first concert I ever went, first actual metal concert I went to in high school. I went to Strange Highways tours in, I think, 1994 at Hara Arena.
Oh, boy.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
Great show.
Hara Arena.
But the weird thing is when you walk into a metal concert and you run into your English teacher. I can't remember his name, but we had an English teacher at West Milton that was a big Black Sabbath fan and Dio fan. So I ran into him, and then, of course, from the rest of the year, I got to make fun of him for being so far back.
There you go.
See, because I fought my way up to the front. That's also the concert I learned you never wear a white shirt to a heavy metal concert.
Shows the blood.
Yeah, there were a handful of fists flying.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah. Because we were right up front. It was me and the friend of mine were right up front. She'd never been to a heavy metal concert and wasn't sure what to expect. We're right up in the front row, and people behind her, just one guy is just slamming us into the gate. So I turned around, and he didn't. He didn't get to see the rest of the concert.
He didn't do the rest of the. Yeah. There you go.
He was done at that point. I'm not sure what happened.
Did you dirty your shirt with him?
I dirtied my shirt with the guy that was slamming us into the gate.
Sounds like he needed to dirty someone's shirt.
Yeah. And they pulled him out.
Well, he's dirtying people's shirts.
Yeah, he was dirtying people's shirts, slamming us into the gate. So
I don't know for sure, but I do know that Ronnie might have been in a band in Cortland, New York, that they were in a car crash, and a couple of the band members got killed. I know Nick Panis was one of them, but he might have been a part of that band. There was only a few, and they were popular bands in the area there, central New York. But he might have been in with a band that had a couple members get killed in a car crash.
Yep, that happens. Except that only the metal bands.
They seem to have bad luck, don't they? The rock bands.
Yeah. There's a lot of, and it's not the metal bands usually. It's there's a few of them, like Randy Rhoads.
I was just going to say Randy Rhoads.
And you got a lot of them. Like one of the Beach Boys drowned, didn't he? And one of the, I think Bon Scott. Well, that's AC/DC. That's heavy.
That was the old.
He fell off the boat and drowned.
Yeah.
I remember. I was in college I believe I was in college at the time with the Big Bopper,
right?
Buddy Holly.
That was a plane crash.
That plane,
right?
yeah. But I'm saying they seem to have bad luck.
Yeah.
In travel, I guess.
Yeah.
John Denver.
Yeah, those the small planes. That's probably they're rich
Yeah,
enough to have those small planes.
that's the problem. That's why they're rich enough to have the small private jet, and they fly a lot more because they have a private jet.
Yeah, and those are the ones that go down a lot, right?
Right.
That's the theory I'm sticking with.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
work.
I think so. Good. Yeah. Yep. Ronnie James Dio.
That's pretty
Future
cool.
metalhead going to high school with my dad. That's kind of hard to think about. But he's a small guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wasn't too tall.
Yeah.
Because he had at one time he had a keyboard player in the band, in a solo band Dio that was like 6'8".
Yeah.
And they looked hilarious
Wow.
next to each other.
I bet.
It was,
I just bet. That's funny. Yeah. Keyboard player too. That was that era of metal.
That
I think
was,
Rainbow.
that was the 80s.
Rainbow
the 80s.
had a keyboardist, right? Didn't they for a little while?
I believe Rainbow did. Yeah.
What the? What's that? No, darn, I'm just stupid. What's that song with Dio and Rainbow? It's got that little keyboard riff.
Man on the Silver Mountain?
No, not that one. Darn, forget it. Forget it. I just wasted
because there
17 seconds.
There aren't a whole lot of Rainbow songs with Dio that got really popular.
Yeah.
There were a handful. There's Man on the Silver Mountain. There's one other one I can't think of right now either. But,
I'll have to look it up on the break or whatever it is. But I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Exciting.
He's covering most of the 2 hours here for us. You know, I'm using him as my crutch.
I want you to tell the clock story, though. The analog, I love it.
I don't know why he thinks this is so funny.
I loved it.
Well, we got to hear the
loved
clock
it.
story then.
All right.
Since last time you were here, you were all over that clock.
So me and my dad and my brother, we were going to pick my brother. We were going to go to Alabama because my grandmother was in this sort of declining state, and we wanted to go see her.
Not just Alabama. She was in another declining state as well.
It was tough because we had to go to a declining state to see her in a declining state.
That's terrible.
So, I decided since we're going to do a quick, down and back 4-day trip, why not just rent a car? And this is back like maybe in the, in the middle, right after the turn of the century, maybe around 2000. You could still get like a rental car for like $19 a day. It'd be like, so let me see, I'm going to give you $19 and you're going to give me a whole car. You're going to take care of it? Oh, like it's my own.
Sure, yeah.
I want to try some of those.
Because everybody treets a rental car like it's their own.
There's some tricks I saw in a Clint Eastwood movie I want to give a try. So then, so we're waiting forever, and my dad's sitting there. He's being pretty patient. And this lady who was at the whatever rental car place, she's got her kid in the store, and she's like, "Well, your car isn't here yet. It's coming because I guess some guy was driving it in from somewhere because I ordered a specific one." And now she's teaching her kid, like how to read an analog clock, which she wasted the kid's time because no one's using them.
Right,
now the kids don't know how to use them. But she's like, well, when the little hand is on the, 5, and the big hand's on the 1, that's 5 after 5, and all that kind of stuff. So she's telling him how to read the clock, and she's doing it, and I'm getting really annoyed, and I'm sitting there, and she could tell my body language is annoyed. We're sitting there for like a half an hour, and she's like, how long have you been waiting here? And I'm like, since the big hand was on the 0. And then she's like, oh, and it was like 5:30 or something. It was supposed to be done at 5.
We overheard everything she was teaching the kid, and he turned it around and
it was one of the few times.
Using it, hey lady, we heard everything you were teaching her. We heard everything.
Then we weren't being paid attention.
Meanwhile, we're
to
just
really
sitting here waiting for the dumb car.
Yeah, it wasn't like we were being paid high attention to. So I thought it was kind of a little mean to say.
I loved it.
Then they produced our car pretty quick.
That's a good way to let them know. Yeah, okay.
She had a kid at the job too. I don't think you could do that really, but whatever. Little kid,
Well, at least you didn't get like mean in front of the kid. You found another way to
that he didn't understand because I could tell he wasn't getting any of it.
Another way to be mean,
Yeah.
He always be mean in a very, very, very disguised way.
Yep, subtle mean.
Yeah, it was subtle mean. So that's
Which
all.
is
Our
good.
card. Our card's done, Dad.
Yeah.
Card's done already?
The card's done. It's
All
got
right. Well, thanks for listening.
sticky hands, Ronnie
go
James
now?
Dio, woodchuck car, analog clock.
I could tell the hospital story if you really wanted me
What?
to.
I don't know.
Oh, wait.
Don might have more stuff, but you certainly are welcome to talk about how you had a heart attack.
We'll take a break real quick. I'll find something else to. Which one of the Mr. Wrigley's were you talking about where he dropped
Space
the?
gas is way too high.
Well, no, the one where he dropped the.
That's Go to Mars with me.
Maraca.
He drops
we'll
the
go
maraca
ahead.
right in the middle of it.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
you could tell right
Well,
during the maraca solo.
I've never listened for that because I never knew it was there. So we're going to go ahead and
it's
we're
subtle.
going to stick with Mr. Wiggly's exploration launch, and we're going to play a little Go to Mars with me.
There you go.
And we will be back to hear about. We're going to hear the hospital story when we come back.
Really bring your
And
work home.
Yeah, probably hit a few news stories before we call it a night. But here's some Go to Mars with me from Mr. Wiggly's exploration launch. We'll be back.
Wednesdays on Eventide, Robert Yetter and Mike Shea sit down and throw albums at each other, talking about them, picking them apart, ripping them a new one. All different artists, all different genres, all different levels of suckage. It's Track Record, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. on the Eventide podcast feed. For more information, go to eventideent.com.
Now, you've been staring over that edge for hours. And people die down there. And dying when you're not really sick is really sick, you know? Really.
All right, we're back on the Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Don Smith. Sitting in for the last segment with Mike and Mike.
Mike
the
and Mike in the evening.
Canasteros. Yeah,
Not Mike and Mike in the morning.
Welcome to Mike and Mike in the evening.
I know. Yeah, whatever.
So we're going to hear about a hospital story. Did you want to name the hospital or?
I don't think you should name the hospital. They got deep pockets.
That's
Deep-
true. That's true.
deep-
Well, let's just
Teams
say it's a
of lawyers.
local hospital. And I think it overlooks a river or something. I don't know.
Well,
Well,
that
it
doesn't narrow
overlooks an avenue that is quite spectacular. One might even say
Well,
it's a nice view.
it's a nice view.
It's a really nice view.
Really,
It's grand.
it is grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll go from there.
well, anyhow, I was coming to see the other Mike here, and I was on, is it 290 going around Cleveland?
270.
270?
No, 271.
Okay. Well, anyhow, it was going around Cleveland, very close to the Cleveland Clinic, which could have been fortunate, actually. But anyhow, I had the air conditioner on like crazy, blowing real cold. I was breathing in the cold air, and all of a sudden my chest starts to tighten up on me. So I pull over, take a nitroglycerin, wait for it to go away, and I head to Dayton. And I guess my main concern was that it probably had to be a Sunday, was to get more nitroglycerin for the next day because I was running out. But before, I tried to get a hold of the pharmacy or my doctor and stuff, I went up on my son's roof and trying to.
No,
I don't know if
what
I was removing an antenna.
I told you that I had my antenna on my TV because I don't have cable. My antenna just connected to the TV was doing better than the antenna that was on the roof. And he's like, well, you're not going to leave that antenna up there, are you? And I'm like, well, I ain't going up on that roof because I don't like going on roofs,
Right.
Like, I'm going to go get it, And so he goes on the roof the day after having angina attacks. And then he has more angina attacks up on the roof or after the roof. And so then I got to tell my side of the story because I really had to twist your arm to go to that hospital because I had to have my friend who was a cardiac nurse talk to you and finally convince you that you really need to get checked out.
I don't remember that. I don't think any of that happened.
Well, you denied it all. You didn't want to go. And I'm like, look, okay, we don't have to go now. We'll go get nice sleep. We'll go next thing in the morning. Because his jaw was hurting and his CPK levels are high. CPK level is that enzyme. It ain't California Pizza Kitchen, for sure. It was too high. So his CPK is too high. He's having like heart problems, you know. So there you go. I drove you in on Tuesday morning, and then they proceeded to keep you.
You're cutting across part of the story.
Okay,
here.
sorry, my bad. I just wanted to do the younger people who have older parents. I had to go through a lot to get him to even go to the hospital.
Well, in any case, my main concern was to get more nitroglycerin. So I called up my cardiologist back in New York, and they said to me, yeah, we'll fill your nitroglycerin, but you better get yourself into the emergency room. So then I told my son, and I guess we decided to go there.
I like how we decided.
I'm feeling okay all the while. You know, the angina went away, and I'm sitting on this gurney, you know, waiting for them to get done with the blood test. I guess they did an EKG, and I even told them, hey, it skipped a beat there, and the guy ran and got the strip. Yeah, sure enough. How the heck did you know that? Well, anyhow, I'm sitting there waiting for the blood test result. I'm almost falling asleep, and then here comes the angina again. So I'm looking around for one of those emergency buttons, and it ain't around anywhere. So I'm waving out the kind of isolation curtains, asking someone, hey, can you get me some help? I'm having an angina attack, you know. So they finally come running in, and they had the emergency button over on the counter somewhere, covered with some
linens where
or something,
right where it should be,
right where
way
I
far
could
away,
get to
covered
it
up
real quick, and they you know, checked me out. They took me down. You know, I was in pretty good pain, and they called in a surgeon, and he says, "Oh, well, you just hang in there. We'll get rid of your pain real quick." And they did a catheterization, and you know, the pain went away. I did have to stay there a day or so, but the thing that I loved about this place was it was so damn noisy. I mean, they put me in a room with a thrashing machine. I don't know what it was. It must have been some kind of a assisted breathing polio iron lung unit. But
I remember
and then the nurse's office, or the whatever they are, the office of all the nurses, I guess, were right across the hall, and you know, I could hear them talking about everything. And if you're out there, I'm glad you don't have to use deodorant. You know, it was an interesting thing to learn while I was in the hospital. But they did move me. But
you should have just told her you could tell. Now get me out of here.
Well, she apparently claimed not, you know.
You know, here's the thing. He was happy for a day in the hospital. Then he wasn't getting any sleep because it was kind of like the environment. I was wake you up to give you a sleeping pill kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I come and he's like, "Grr." He grabs me by the collar. And, you know, because he wanted to tell it right into my ear because he didn't want, this guy next to me sounds like he's strangling all night. And I'm like, okay, well.
And the nurses don't wear deodorant.
He just took a turn for the whatever, you know, he was just happy as a peach there. Oh, they're paying good attention to me. And then it was like, this guy next to me strangling all night. And I'm like, how do you think
deprivation.
How do you think he feels? Yeah. He's the one that's strangling all night. But I do got to say, I had to take Dad kicking and screaming, but he had a heart attack right in the hospital. He was very lucky.
Right there on the gurney, and I thought I was scot-free, you know, laying there comfortable. I thought it was all the cold air from the car, and you know, it just all went away. I had angina before, and a stent before.
That sounds so nice, angina. It sounds like your aunt that
Angina?
makes you like peach cobbler.
Let's
go see angina. That doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't sound very good.
It just sounds very like a very soft word that doesn't mean you have a blockage, which is what angina is. Oh, it can be brought on by a stiff breeze. And my dad's just choking down nitroglycerin tablets, which isn't really helping the, you know, root of the problem.
Right.
Says the guy who's injured himself somehow and has a fever and is rolling groin. At least I'm going to the urgent care next.
You said you weren't going to talk about that.
It's something weird, but yeah, okay.
I'm not going to say bring it out.
Don't
on the
feel like
table.
myself.
No, we're good.
No, you don't want to see it.
Are you feeling okay? Because
Nitroglycerin.
we can skip news and I can play a few songs. And
No,
you guys
I'm feeling.
can bolt
Yeah,
if
I got
you're good.
19 minutes in me, sure.
Okay.
But I got to get to the urgent care before 10. You think they'll kick me out?
I got a lot of nitroglycerin that maybe it'll open you up down there somewhere.
Yeah.
I need some Cipro is what I need. That's
Use
too much
the
information.
nitroglycerin pill is like a suppository, but the other side. Yeah, that made everybody.
You mean a
cringe
catheter
right
is what you mean.
Oh, God.
Nitroglycerin
catheter.
Oh, God. Here's the
And
thing.
you know, they got all those
that'll give
good
you a
kinds
boost.
that they have.
Oh,
that
my
this
God.
airplane
I
pilot
will say
used.
this. If we're going to talk about hospitals, today I went to Southview to drop some pee because I'm like, hey, do I have a urinary tract infection? Okay. Hey, I'm talking, I'm not too proud to talk about it, I guess. Of course, I'm just really tired and feverish. So I go in the bathroom, and they're like, we have catheters. On the toilet, there's catheters. There's something in a little package. There's something. I don't know. Were they catheters?
A condom, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
But there was something. I'm like, I don't know what's in
I
that plastic
have no
package.
idea.
And then you go
That's
in the
just
bathroom.
Just a random bathroom? Or
No, you
were
go
in
in their
the
bathroom.
ER?
They give you a name. No, I wasn't in the ER. This was just at the urologist that I went to a few years ago. By the way, folks, if you ride your bike more than 5,000 miles a year, this is going to happen to you. Once in a while, you're going to need a urologist or something. I can't believe this show turned into Healthcare Central.
Yes.
So
well, we were doing exercises earlier, so
yeah, maybe that's what
it's
loosened
what
me
it
up.
is. Yep.
But then you go to the kind of bathroom where you do the urine sample, and then there's a little door that you open up. It has two sides, and you put the cup in there.
Is the My Pillow guy on the other side?
And then a guy opens up the door and he says, "Thanks, I'll take it from here." Yeah. Not really, but and you know that someone's
delicious. What you been drinking?
You got any more? It's kind of creepy though, because you just put it in a little compartment and it closes, but it's a two-way compartment. And
Yeah,
it's
you
in
put
the
it in
lab.
a little compartment and closes, and you turn around, it's gone. And
Yeah.
you just don't
Yeah,
even
the
know
other
where it
person
went.
is
So,
there.
yeah,
I
it's
say,
like
"Hey."
a magic trick.
It is, and then they call me up and say, "You don't have a UTI," and I'm like, "Okay, well, whatever it is, it's got to get taken care of." So there you go. Sorry,
You don't have a UTI, but it's a little tangy. Might want that checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of hospitals and health problems.
Yeah, get older and it happens, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we talk about it on the radio and make people grossed out about it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
why not?
Yeah, it's good therapy. I feel a little better.
Yeah.
So
That's all we need to hear. Well, let's hit a few news stories before we call it a night. It's supposed to be a gem resting between two fingers, but the image of a new pendant that was shared by London jeweler Theo Fennell gave the impression of something else entirely.
I think I saw it.
Yeah, you think you saw that? Yeah.
I think I saw it.
Lucas Gruenig created the pendant as part of the company's Gilded Youth program, which recognizes the work of jewelry students, which I didn't know there were jewelry students, but I guess they have to learn it somewhere.
Trade.
Yeah, its design was supposed to represent how a goldsmith assesses a gem by placing it between their index and middle finger. However, comments on Theo Fennell's Instagram page indicated that some people saw something different, albeit a jeweled one. One commenter wrote, a commenter named Amber Alyssa 1989 wrote, "That is a vag." Nature's Enigma wrote, "I know what it's supposed to be, but this definitely looks like a pierced vagina." So, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I saw that, and someone shared it, and I was like, oh, boy,
That's because I saw it, and you can tell what
Yeah.
it's supposed to be, but it's like,
and I
yeah,
was like,
now
guys,
we know
come
what it
on.
looks
That's where
like.
you
Yeah.
need some sort of editorial step in there.
Yeah, somebody needs to have looked at that and said, wait a minute, yeah, that's not going to work.
That's not what you should put out.
Or maybe
That's what they want.
that's what they wanted.
and that
They
would be
want
sad.
that because otherwise we wouldn't be talking about it.
That's true.
It would just be like,
Yeah.
So,
Wonder how much business it drummed up.
yeah,
Like, we're
probably
sorry,
quite
guys.
a few.
Yeah.
And they all want their vajayjays pierced.
Oh, jeez.
That's what
The
it's.
wrong subject to talk about. I don't even have one, but I don't want to talk about it now.
Toy maker Hasbro announced it has trademarked one of its most recognizable aspects of one of its most iconic products, the smell of Play-Doh. The Pawtucket, Rhode Island company announced Friday that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has officially recognized the distinctive Play-Doh smell as a registered trademark of the brand, which first hit stores in 1956. The odor is described by Hasbro as a sweet, slightly musky, vanilla-like fragrance with slight overtones of cherry and a natural smell of a salted wheat-based dough. I smelled none of that in Play-Doh.
It smells rubbery.
Yeah, it just smells kind of disgusting, actually.
Yeah. I kind of liked it, though. I think it smelled like childhood. I
think
it.
They needed a little bit of a decomposing chipmunk or woodchuck. Decomposing woodchuck from a car's engine, a K car's engine compartment.
See, that's the smells I have from my childhood.
Right.
And when I do get a
fresh batch of Play-Doh,
or
which
I do often,
woodchuck.
I might get one tonight at the urgent care. But it's got a good. It resonates well with me, Play-Doh, because you could, you remember you stuck it on the cartoon funnies and it picked it up and you stretched Charlie Brown out all sorts of different ways. Just me on that?
I remember those things.
Yeah, I think those were fun. So, yeah.
Silly Putty was another. Yeah.
That was Silly Putty.
Yeah, that was Silly Putty.
Oh, my bad. I meant Silly Putty. Oh, that was terrible. I got the wrong stuff. Play-Doh, Play-Doh's all right.
Yeah, Play-Doh.
Play-Doh smelled like clay.
There's no Silly
It was
Putty.
clay.
Yeah.
Silly Putty smelled good to me. I thought. Came in a little egg.
Yeah, I remember the movie Amazon Women on the Moon. They had silly pate at their parties.
Silly pate.
Yeah,
Oh,
you've never tried silly pate before.
You get a few vowels wrong, and you're off on a different tangent.
Yeah. Oh, a kangaroo was caught. I covered this one. Yeah, I think I covered this one, but we'll do it again. A kangaroo was caught on video hopping around a South Carolina highway 2 days after a photo from its previous escape went viral. A driver on Highway 28 in McCormick County captured video Thursday morning of the Australian animal hopping around to the surprise of witnesses. The McCormick County Sheriff's Office said deputies responded to a call about the marsupial Thursday morning, and the kangaroo was safely returned to its owner's farm. The McCormick County Sheriff's Office Canine Unit posted a photo to Facebook that's what it said. The McCormick County Sheriff's Office Canine Unit posted a photo to Facebook 2 days earlier showing the kangaroo in the road in front of the deputy's car.
There were some smart canines.
That is. They train them better than the officers. The sheriff's office said the kangaroo's owner was identified and reunited with his pet. So apparently he can't build a fence that's high enough to keep it.
You can have a kangaroo?
Apparently in, where was it, South Carolina. Apparently you can have a pet kangaroo.
Interesting. Well, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I would think that because they kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they
they box you.
Yeah, because
gloves.
Yeah, you'd have to put gloves on a kangaroo if you're going to have one as a pet.
I wonder what would be worse, a kangaroo or an ostrich?
I think both.
For a pet or to
box?
No,
to get attacked by.
I'd box it. Either one.
I don't know.
I think kangaroo.
I don't know. I think can an ostrich run faster than? Can it move faster than a kangaroo?
What do they do though? They don't really fly, so their wings couldn't. I tell you, when I get chased by a goose, I know that the wings, and it happens a lot. The wings can smack up against you and they can bite.
Well,
but
you ride a bike a lot, so you have plenty of encounters with. Well, yeah, and
I was thinking, you always get the neck on those things. Like, what are they going to do? You get it right by the neck. What the hell are they going to do? You can't do that with a goose, by the way. You guys listening,
Canadian geese, no, they're
protected, but they are overpopulating the whole world.
Yes, they should no longer be protected. We should just be able to.
Why are they? Is that I know that
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they're. Because actually, Canadian geese are probably the most aggressive thing about Canada outside of hockey.
Yeah, I would say so. Even moose aren't. Mooses are really.
Yeah, well, we don't see a whole lot of them around here. But no, I mean, Canadian geese, they'll attack you in a heartbeat. If it was a true Canadian geese, say, "Oh, excuse me, I didn't see you there."
Yeah, I know. Just be
real polite.
What's the American geese doing? We'll just do whatever they're doing. Yeah. We'll come in after them.
We'll do what they're doing, only more polite about it.
Yeah, we'll attack them after.
I went to a thrift store yesterday, And I thought I saw an interesting book there. It was called The Canadian Dictionary.
Wow.
Interesting.
I mean, what
Why didn't you buy it?
what in the world would be different, I wonder?
Yeah, probably
A?
something. Huh?
A book full of A?
Well, hey, there's
It's
a whole
real
province.
short. That's all it is. A.
There's a province that is French. You know, I don't
They
know.
skip the rest of the alphabet. They just start with A, and that's it. It's the only word that's different. A.
Yeah, interesting.
But the problem is there's like 75 pages worth of definition for A because they use it for everything.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
One thing defines not killing the law of not killing Canadian geese, I think, you know?
Yeah, I think that's one of the definitions of A. Don't do that, eh?
Hey, you're nice. He's nice, eh? Let's get to know him. There's only like a month when Canada geese are really bad, and that's when they're mating and nesting.
Yeah.
You know, so otherwise they're just in the way.
Well, that's when they're the maintenance man's nightmare.
Yeah,
Because
will-
they nest on roofs and you can't move them because they're protected.
and they own that roof for a
Oh,
month.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I remember years ago, and I worked at this one place that I won't mention. My boss's window was like right across his. They had like a kind of went back to the entrance of the building, so there were two big wings coming out on either side of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And my boss's offices were on this side, on the left side of it as you come up. Well, on the right side, way up perched on the roof, there's one of the Canadian geese up there. Well, I was just starting with the company, so he told me, he said, go up the roof, chase that thing off there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, fine. And I went up there and it started to get aggressive, so I just ran toward it.
Yeah.
And it scared it, and it fell off the roof, and it started flying, and it slammed full force right into my boss's window when he was sitting there.
Karma. Karma.
I came in, I was like, you all right? He's
You
like,
want it off. I want it off.
It
Karma.
was still shaking by the time I got off the roof and back around to his
Oh,
office.
that's great.
Karma.
That's great.
So, yeah, that one got him. That one got him.
I mean, I guess you can't do anything to him. What if one flies at you? Can you punch it in the gut? What can you do?
You should be able to.
Yeah,
That's
defense.
because it's
Self-defense,
self-defense
right?
at that point.
Yeah.
Self-defense
All right,
against
good.
Canadian
That's good to
geese, yeah.
I got to say, when I ride my bike to work,
Although it's a Canadian geese, if you punch it, you might just get to, a minute in the penalty box. I don't know.
Probably true. I carry a little tiny rock with me, and just kind of throw it at its feet and get it out of the way. It starts coming at you. Don't try to hit it. Just throw it right in front of it, distract it, and get the heck out of there.
Years ago, the same place I worked, we were coming outside to work at this big gate up there, and there was one way off, and it was probably about 50 yards away. And I'd reached down, picked up a rock, just joking. I was tossing it. The guy I was working with said, there's no way you could hit that thing. I just kind of lobbed it. I went ahead and lobbed it, and it bounced off the ground about probably 3 feet in front of it. The rock bounced back up and cracked it. You could hear it from where we were standing, cracked it in the side of the head. Its big, long neck, it almost hit the other side of its head on the ground.
Wow.
And it kind of wobbled for a second and took off. And I don't think we saw that one again.
They're tough. I bet you they're tough.
geez.
Yeah, it didn't really faze him much. It just kind of had to shake for a minute. But
Yeah, that's good. That's the official record. At least.
that's 'cause
That's
yeah.
what really happened.
Yeah, that's what really happened. It wasn't by rock. I didn't mean like pellet or anything like that. It was just a rock. I did
Just
not.
a baseball bat.
Yeah, it's
Didn't mean any of that.
nope. Although we did used to drive them nuts with the little laser pointers. They don't like those.
They don't like those?
No,
Good to know.
they get very angry at the laser
They
pointers.
get angry at you existing. If you're
That's pretty much true. Yeah. Well, I think we're going to have to wrap it up. This has been a lot of fun. We went all the way through your card.
We did. We did.
We got a handful of good stories. It was so good to have you in, Mike the father.
Mike the second.
Yes, Mike. You're Mike the second.
Yep.
Okay,
I'm
then
Mike the
the third.
Yeah. I'm glad I
Okay.
got him here. This is
Yeah.
like a nice place that I've come back and visited, and I glad to get him in here.
Yeah, it was great having you.
No,
'Cause like I
thanks
said,
for
I
having me.
enjoyed
Yeah,
your
it was-
stories when you called in. So
Yeah, and thanks for having us.
yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Enjoyed it.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and play us out of here, and we're going to take a break for at least a week before I'm going to be back in here doing this again.
And be nice to geese.
And be nice to your Canadian geese. They're just like American geese, only not as many firearms.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We will see you guys next week. This has been the Life Radio Show on WWSU 106.9 with your host, Don Smith. The Life is also available in podcast form on iTunes, PodBean, Stitcher, Spreaker, Blueberry, and YouTube, as well as on Eventide Entertainment's podcast network. Be sure to like the Life Radio Show on Facebook, and if you have any comments or suggestions, email thelife1069@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Now get out there and enjoy some live comedy this week. You can check out wileyscomedy.com for all your upcoming shows.
The brutal presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me.